our next little bit that we might get into here, this is a fun one. I wanted to do something different because we've been kind of going based off our ball knowledge for other people who watch and have the ball knowledge. But one thing that if we want to get more viewers in, get more people into the sport, find out ways that they can get into it is what do I watch? What games are there? Who do I follow? All that kind of stuff. Well, we're here to tell you folks some classic games you can watch to get into the Premier League or just soccer in general, because we also have some international games that you could watch if you want to do something like that. So this next little bit here we got is called Classic Matches for Neutrals. And we each came up with a couple of games here that stood out in our minds as, games that had, whether or not it was like good action or just good drama. I had some good games that had some drama and then goals, but also some games within the context of, the Premier League were some big important games. Who wants to go first? I mean, I feel like we could just, take a minute and share our games.
Give us our list.
Give the list.
Yeah.
I'll
start us off.
All right, go for it. Go for it.
I got it already in my head. I don't need to look at it.
Nice, cool.
Number 5. Alec reminded me of this game before we started. Probably one of my all-time favorite Chelsea games. Probably top 5.
Oh boy.
It was Chelsea 6, Arsenal 0. On Arsene Wenger's 1,000th game.
Oh no!
Came to the bridge, got steamrolled by Jose Mourinho's Chelsea.
Yeah, that is iconic now. I remember that.
There was just so much fun for that game for me. I mean, between them sending off Kieran Gibbs when it was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain that made a save with his hand.
God, those are some names.
Was that the 1,000th game?
That was Arsene Wenger's 1,000th game. And you'll never guess who scored the 6th goal for Chelsea that day.
Petr Cech.
Salah.
It was Mohamed Salah.
Yeah.
His one of the only goals he ever scored for Chelsea before that whole fuckery happened. But
damn, when was that? That was like
2014.
14. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I think it was 2014. Yeah, it was 2014.
Something around there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Mourinho's first season back for his second stint.
Okay.
Number 4, I have a game probably pretty close to your heart, Dad. I have City 2, Liverpool 1, 2019. Just two of the greatest ever Premier League sides going at it with each other. Between, I think it was Sané's game winner, John Stones' goal line clearance.
Is that when when Sadio Mane kicked Ederson in the head?
No, I think that was a different one. I want to say.
Got it. Okay.
I could be wrong. I could be forgetting that, but I think they were both full strength the entire time, just going at each other's throats the entire. It's one of the most back and forth games. Pep
versus Klopp, right?
Yeah. Pep versus
Oh,
Klopp.
yeah.
Just that is when you talk about just prime matchups, prime Manchester City versus prime of Liverpool. Just one of the in terms of a technical ability, one of the best games I've ever seen in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think they finished on 98 and 97 points that season. Just if you want to watch a game of just the highest quality, that is just one of those games where you just can't go wrong with.
Yeah.
It's a good game pick too because it's another one of those iconic manager rivalries of that have existed in the league. So that's a good one.
Yeah. Number 3, probably the most iconic moment in Premier League history in this game. I went Manchester City 3, Queen's Park Rangers 2. The Aguero goal to win Manchester City their first league title.
That's crazy. I was just about to write that down.
Yeah. Probably it has to be the greatest moment in Premier League history, in my opinion.
It's actually scary. I was just about to write down Aguero.
Yeah. Obviously, the commentary, Kit Terry, is just one of the greatest pieces of It's still. I'm not even a Manchester City fan. Every time I watch that goal, it makes my hair stand up.
Yeah.
Every single time, it always has. It always will. It's one of those goals I'm going to tell my kids about when I'm 70. I mean, probably before that, but but grandkids, yeah.
Your 3-year-old
but,
sitting on your lap. Dad?
just everything from the fact that from the side by side, where United are already celebrating, and then they score 2 goals in added time after almost choking, and just taking it away from their. It's basically taken away from your big brother. It's the first time you beat your big brother in a game of pickup or something.
Yeah.
It's just one of those moments where you're just how can you not love this? And I think that for me is I think one of the things that got me absolutely just hooked to the sport was that game. It's just like, I mean, we turned the TV off early because we were just like, whatever, like United won.
No way.
And then we're at my grandparents' house. I remember I'm just on the computer at my grandparents' house, and he walks in the room. He's like, "You're never gonna believe this." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "City won the league." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I mean, I didn't say fuck. I was like 10. But
yeah,
like,
right.
I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "They scored 2 goals in extra time or in added time and won the title." I'm like, "What?" I literally remember I Googled it, and I'm like, I just couldn't. And I looked at the highlights after, and I just remember being like, "Holy crap!"
Yeah.
But number 2, I mean, these games are both biased picks. I'll be completely honest, but we expected they are in terms of top tier entertainment in the Premier League. It's up there, and it's up there every time these two clubs play together. It's Chelsea 2, Spurs 2, both score lines, Battle of the Bridge 1 and 2. I'll start with 2 because I was at that game.
Oh, okay.
So that's my claim to fame, is that this is my first ever game at Stamford Bridge. I couldn't believe, like, I remember I was pissed because it was a 96-minute equalizer from Kane after they pulled Cucurella's hair.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember just sitting there being like, this was like the greatest. Like, even though they didn't win, this was like the coolest experience of my life.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember blacking out basically when Koulibaly scored the volley off the corner. And I remember I said to my brother right before the corner, he can vouch for this. I literally said, it's coming. Because we were all over Spurs, and we should have beat them that day.
Yeah.
But it was an unbelievable back-and-forth game the entire way through.
Is that the handshake game?
It was the Yep. It was, and it ended, of course, with Tuchel and Conte giving each other a handshake and then trying to fight each other on the sideline.
Legendary
Which is
moment.
just everything perfect about the Premier League in a game.
Oh, yeah.
And then Battle of the Bridge 1, I mean, it
you're
speaks
talking
for
about the 15-16 game,
the 15-16.
Right? That's my number 1 game, too,
Yep.
man.
I would argue it's the greatest game in Premier League history.
I
just for what it meant in the grand scheme of things.
Of it
like the context,
serious.
like Spurs went up 2-0 early. Chelsea came back, of course. The greatest left winger in Premier League history, Eden Hazard.
Of course, sure.
With a beautiful goal to tie up the game.
Debatable.
But I rewatched the highlights for that game today as I was like just wanted to make sure like it was enough quality and like what it was for how I remembered it. It was so scrappy. The amount of tackles. Tottenham was literally like football tackling these guys by the end of the game because they were so goddamn pissed that they were about to lose the title. We're not. That was it. They needed to win to stay in the race.
And so it has the most. I might have been broken by now. I think there was a game that just randomly was a bunch of yellow cards, but I believe it's the game with the most yellow cards in Premier League history.
Yeah,
because there was like 8 a team or something ridiculous. I think then both managers had a yellow card. Like it was unbelievable. Like just literally they were trying to kill each other out there.
They were.
Like it was. I remember just watching them. Like they're literally trying to kill each other right
Game's
now.
gone soft.
Yeah,
literally. That's when you watch those highlights though, and you watch it today. That's the game where you would be like, "Wow, it is so much softer now compared to this game."
Of course, to complete the greatest Cinderella story in sports, it gave Leicester City the title.
Yeah.
Which, at the end of the day, the game itself was great. But what it meant as a whole, to not only just for Leicester, but just the sport to have something so improbable happen.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the game that caused that to happen. Then you get the video of everybody at Vardy's house celebrating the title. Like, that's what the sport's all about.
Yeah, man.
Like, that game is what the sport is all about. Not just from the game itself, but what it meant in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, of course, ended up with Spurs being the only team to be in a two-leg title race to end up third.
Mm-hmm.
Which was also just the most Spursy thing that ever happened possible, too. But
I will say, though, again, because it was my number 1, 2 all-timer. If you ever want to watch like a competitive game in the league, like that's the one that you're going for.
And I'm sure there's games that I haven't watched from before my time that people would sit here and tell you. I'm only going off of what I've seen.
Of course, exactly.
Like another honorable mention was like the Arsenal 4, Newcastle 4, RIP Czech Tiote. But when he scored that beautiful, I think it was the equalizer he scored to make it 4-4. Like that's just one. And another one that just came up. I didn't watch live, but I just remember seeing the highlights when Arshavin. I might be in the Champions League actually, but when Arshavin scored 4 goals versus Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one. It was 4-4 draw.
I think it was Champions League.
I think it
might have been Champions League.
I think it was Champions League.
Yeah.
But
it's either that or it's getting mixed up with his Champions League goal against Barcelona because he had an iconic goal with that game.
I might be confusing the two.
But yeah, he did have a 4-4 game against them. Yeah, man, that's a good list. I like that list.
Thanks.
Solid games there.
A lot of memories.
Yeah, man.
Isn't it so cool though too? Just the game You could say you didn't look at a phone. You didn't have notes.
Yeah.
You just went off rip off the top of the
Oh
dome.
yeah.
You know where you were, what happened,
I can,
like exactly what you were doing. It was like, I hate to
Yeah.
compare it, but it's like 9/11. Like, where were you? What were you doing?
No, literally.
You
yeah,
remember
there's
what you're
some-
doing, Chelsea
Yeah.
Tottenham. Like, that's the coolest shit ever to me.
I mean, I could literally pretty much break down my entire day. Like, I have like what I call like
That might be a little insane, but like,
if Mike Ross from Suits has like 100 like out of 100 photographic memory, I have like a 5 out of 100 photographic memory. Like, I can remember things, but then like, you know, it gets a little choppy here and there. But like that day, I would say like that is probably the greatest day of my life. I just remember that whole experience.
That
was
Chelsea
just
2-2 one?
That Chelsea 2-2 that I went to my first ever game at Stamford Bridge.
Oh,
like,
got it. Yeah.
like I remember like I didn't full on cry with like walking in the stands, but I felt my eyes getting a little like teary.
that was a similar
yeah.
reaction that you
Yeah.
had when we recorded our first episode, though. So
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen that out of you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
so
No, I had a similar reaction when I went to the Emirates last year. You know, it happens like that.
Yeah.
When they started singing, what's it called? Not even that. It was like when they were walking out of the tunnel, man. I was just like, damn,
Yeah.
here they fucking
like
come.
when
The
I
boys
remember
are
like
out.
the liquidator started and like just the chills like down my spine, like just the like rush of energy I got like during that moment. And like, of course, like, you know, when we chant like we hate Tottenham, like, and you're playing Tottenham, it's just like it makes it even better. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, but
Well, I'll run through my list real quick because I want to hear some of yours because you got some internationals in yours. One that I'll throw in because my list is mostly Premier League, but I'll throw in a honorable mention classic match. Was from the 22 World Cup. We mentioned it real quick, but was the Netherlands versus Argentina game in
Such a
the
good game.
quarterfinals, or was it the semifinal? Quarterfinal,
Semis.
so somewhere around there.
Semis.
was it quarter?
I think
Yeah, it was
quarter
quarter
because
they beat Croatia in the semis.
yeah, the Netherlands would have had 2 more games to make it to the final,
Yeah.
which is I was pulling for him real hard right there. It's crazy because it's like, you know, Messi could have won his first World Cup there, but I was watching Netherlands that whole tournament, and I'm like, these guys, they got the mojo right now.
They knocked out the
Embarrassed.
United States.
Embarrassed.
Even though
the
that,
US,
yeah,
That was
it's still like
Dumfries.
they had it, and that game they were giving it to Argentina, and they had that iconic moment when I forgot who it was, but he
Van
kicks
Dyke. Van Dyke blasted the ball into the.
No,
Is that
no,
what
it
you're
was
talking
Argentina who kicks the ball to the Netherlands bench, and Van Dyke came charging over to
That's
the dude
right,
who
that's
kicked
what
the
it
ball,
was.
and he just
That's what it
checks him
was, yeah,
right to
yeah.
the ground. Like you were saying, yellow cards. That game had insane amount of yellow cards, and the thing that'll always stand out to me as just such an iconic moment in the game that I haven't seen and probably will never see is the free kick routine that the Netherlands did to tie the game in extra time or take it to extra time because well, I'm gonna blanking on his name now, but he was the striker at United for that one
Weghorst,
season.
right?
Weghorst, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, he just turns, ball goes straight to him, turns, hits it right in. I was freaking out. I have videos of me sitting there and just like going nuts after that
Clip it.
game.
I
Yeah, I'll
remember-
send them to you. Oh yeah.
I remember we actually were going to the Sabres game. I was going with my buddies, and we were like, I was at my house like watching it when somebody was picking, or I might have been driving. I think I was supposed to leave the drive, and as I'm like about to leave, I'm like literally walking up the stairs in my basement. I'm like, I'm like, I'll just stay for the free kick real quick, and then
That
the free kick happens. And I remember we were all going mental.
Yeah.
And then there was like, because a couple people came to my house before or whatever it was. And I'm like, all right, we're gonna stay for a little bit, and then we'll go a little bit late if we have to. But I remember we stayed for a little bit because like that is just one of the craziest, like,
It was insane.
just unbelievable.
Just had to see how the rest of that game turned out. So that's a good honorable mention. We've got now my games to watch in the league here. This one comes from the 2019-2020 season when Liverpool won the title. It was their game against United where they won 2-0. That was the iconic game when they had just the 1-0 lead for a good amount of the game, or it was, I think, tied. But it was 1-0 for a while, and then end of the game was Alisson hitting that ball over the top to Salah, and then he just charges down and then scores that last goal in extra time, and then just the place went nuts. It was the turning point in the season for Liverpool to push on and win the title. It was just unfortunate because that was, your COVID happened and everything, so they couldn't celebrate in front of anybody, but that moment right there was like the stadium and like the team's like belief of like, wow, okay, this could be our year. So legendary game there. And then another one for belief and just a team kind of pushing on was Leicester versus Liverpool from their 15-16 season. That was a 2-0 win for Leicester and had probably Jamie Vardy's best goal in that game. His volley from outside the box, crossing the keeper.
Such a good goal.
It's such a good goal, and it was just such an iconic year for that team. But just again, great moment for the player, everybody involved with Leicester that year. Just fantastic stuff, man. Yeah, any neutral anybody who ever wants to get into this sport, just look up Leicester City. There you have an iconic year this year that we both have just mentioned, 2015-16 season of going on, doing a Cinderella story. If you put money down at the start of the year, it was like 1 in 30,000 odds of them winning the league, and they did it. Spoiler alert, but they did it. Now, I couldn't do this list without some Arsenal games. Like, you gotta have some little bias in here. And I couldn't do it without a good North London derby. So I had to do probably the most iconic one that sticks out in recent memory for everybody was our 4-2 win against them in the 18-19 season. You had Aubameyang score one, Lacazette. Who else scored? Maybe Ramsey, but that was also a very hot game because Tottenham got the 2-0 lead at the first, and then Dyer had the balls to shush Aaron Ramsey in the Emirates. Big move by him because then we ended up going and winning that game 4-2, and it had Lucas Torreira scoring a goal of all people. Crazy stuff. And Chelsea versus Tottenham was my number one game on this list. Again, we said it before. My number 2 game that follows that, though, it's the same kind of deal like we're saying. I knew exactly where I was for this moment, for this game, and that was Arsenal versus Bournemouth 3-2 from a couple years ago. And that was our season where it was fresh during our, title push in these past couple years, coming in second. That was our first year when we came in second. We were losing 2-0, and man, to come back and win that game, that was our game in that season. If we won it, that would have been our Liverpool versus Man United win, where it's like, oh, they could go on and do it right now, and that's what everybody was saying. But we, collapsed. We lost Saliba for the rest of that season. But that was a huge moment, huge turning point in the trajectory of Arsenal's, path these past couple years. And if that moment doesn't happen, who knows where the team could have been. So those are my lists. We got yours here,
fellas. That's actually beautiful. I kind of forgot where I was for a couple minutes. I was just listening to you guys tell your stories.
Oh yeah, no, dude, I'll never forget it. I was in the kitchen with my family watching that game, and when Nelson scored, I have never celebrated a goal like that in my life. I ran around my living room, charged and tackled my dad on the couch. I was just screaming, making noises I had never made in my life. That was nuts.
Yeah.
Another honorable mention we could throw in, if I want to throw in an Arsenal bias, was our 3-0 win against Real Madrid this past year. I got clips of that one too. It was at O'Hanlon's in New York City, and if you ever got a chance to go to O'Hanlon's as an Arsenal fan, do it. That's all I'm going to say. Because cue the footage. It's crazy.
Well, I've always loved the game. I've always loved watching the game.
Hell yeah.
But I really didn't take notice and I wasn't waking up at 7 a.m. on Saturdays. Honestly, until probably when I lived in England, honestly, is kind of the first time I could remember watching and paying attention and keeping up with not only the Prem, but La Liga, Liga, all of them, Serie A, all of them, really. So it was difficult for me when we did this. It was difficult for me to kind of list 3, 5, whatever it was, strictly from the Prem. So I kind of used the 4 neutrals, and I ran with that. And I just thought of some of the games that kind of just stick out to me and personal where I was and stuff like that. I'll start. I got a couple honorable mentions too. I got 9 or 10 games here. I want to start to strictly neutral. I didn't watch the game either, but Welcome to Wrexham, the fantastic show on Hulu, the promotion, the game they got promoted.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a side that has endured and a town that's endured as much as they have, if you want to get into this sport, you watch them get promoted. Just
It's been a good
scenes.
story. Yeah,
Scenes.
it's one of those things we haven't talked much about. Like it's got a stigma to it, being the ownership of Ryan Reynolds and Rob and
Bought
American,
it, earned it.
but
I don't care.
I
You
earned it, completely earned it.
you
And
still
they're-
have
Oh
to
no,
put a
I
pro-
agree.
I mean, you
I
still have to put a
agree.
product on the field.
yeah,
I agree.
and they're
You have to-
doing it.
There has to be a product on the pitch.
Yeah.
And look at Chelsea. We spent $2 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not even probably going to be in the title race this season. I know we're kind of close again now, but like we're not really going to be in the title race this season. So like you can spend money, but you have to spend it right.
Yeah.
And I mean, they spent the money well.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got to give them credit where credit's due, regardless.
And
of
they're
how you feel
being
about it.
Humble along the way. They're not being
Yeah.
overconfident. They're not coming in and trying to
No.
be like, oh yeah, we could do this. We're like they're saying things of like, yeah, we want to be in the Premier League, but at
I do
face
love.
value, it's like they're doing all the right things to get there.
I do love that they're sticking with Phil Parkinson too.
Yes.
They-
Yeah.
They've had him now for 3 or 4 seasons now,
Mhm.
and they're just riding it, and it's working. And like you said, credit where credit's due.
And what's cool is they're not like they only loaned out Mullins this year, and they loaned out Ollie Palmer I think has moved on. I don't know if he's on loan, but
I'm not
like
sure.
Mullins could come back if they do get promoted, some miracle this season.
Yeah.
But like they know they have realistic goals and objectives, which is good for them. Like they know they're not going to make it out of the championship this year, but they are more than happy with finishing above mid-table in that league. Like it's cool seeing where they're at, and like if they can stay in the championship for at least a year or two without getting relegated, all the power to them, and we'll hopefully see them in the league soon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. A couple other quick honorable mentions. I have Germany, Brazil, 2014 World Cup.
Oh,
The
what a-
7-1 drubbing.
man.
I think I reference
Yeah.
that game on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I think I heard 7-1. I'm like, oh, they Braziled them. Like I literally call it like getting Braziled in my eyes. It's
Yep.
like if you lose
That might have been the
7-1.
introduction of the meme to the world. The German in me, that's just what a lovely day.
Oh yeah.
I also went with El Trafico, which is fairly recent,
The
but
Zlatan one?
Zlatan's introduction to the
That's
MLS.
right. That was a great game.
As an American watching the sport, we know the shit that the MLS gets, the backlash. You bring in somebody like Zlatan, and he does that on day one.
Can we just throw out there? El Trafico is just a disgrace of a name.
Oh,
that's a great name.
As someone
it's-
that's lived in Los
like-
Angeles for a lot of it, it is very, very, very spot on.
It's better
like-
than the Hudson River Derby
li-
that we got
yeah.
in New York.
Listen, I the name's great. I will say the name itself is great, but the fact that it's like it's similar to El Clasico is just like
Well,
we-
it's a play on
It's-
words.
it's-
It's a
but
play
it's-
on words.
It's just like Real Madrid and Barcelona are this historic rivalry that have played each other 100 times.
MLS has to start somewhere.
But
they
played each
got to
other.
start
It's like-
somewhere.
But by the time they started calling it El Trafico, they played each other like twice.
Whatever.
That's my problem with
Whatever.
it. Like
We ain't
I
talking
just-
about that. We're
I
talking
just-
about Zlatan's
I
goal.
just need some more history. But anyways, back to your story. I'm sorry to
it
interrupt.
works. I think it works.
I have the Beckham documentary. I will
Mm.
watch before every game that I coach. I watch the Beckham documentary. It's just habit at this point, ritual. But the Beckham skinhead game, just hearing him tell that story and hearing Gary Neville tell the story, and then even getting the glimpses of Sir Alex's bit, I get goosebumps just watching that. So I think that
Yeah.
would have been sick. As a neutral, just watch the documentary. It doesn't even have to be a game. I know
Such a good
that's the segment.
documentary.
But you
So
wanna
good.
you wanna get into the sport again. Watch the documentary, and you fall in love with not only the player, but United during that time is just a giant. So yeah, now into like kind of my list. I went with an FA Vase game, which is below the FA Cup.
Really?
But Whitstable Town versus Walsham. I was in the stands for this one. Very, very cold game. And my brother Josh Oliver scores the game-winning pen. And sitting in the supporter section, there was probably 100 of us that was on the coach. I think it was 3.5 hours up to the grounds, freezing my balls off. Of course, goes the extra time. I'm pretty sure they scored. They scored in like the 83rd minute. And we were all just like, fuck, because we just wanted to get on the bus.
Yeah,
At that
yeah.
point, we're numb. You want to get on the bus. They score, goes into extra time, goes into pens. And my boy steps up and he puts that bitch right in the corner. And he sprints right over to the stands and just celebrates like fucking Messi. And he actually sent me, because I texted him today and I was like, who did you guys play? And he sent me the clip of the pen, and he sent me a picture of the celebration.
Nice. No way.
And we had a good laugh going back and forth. But again, for someone that was really only there for my buddy Josh, just one hell of a game. And it's Whitstable, fuck you for what you did to Josh. But they did go on and they played at Wembley, and I'm pretty sure they won the FA Vos, the cup.
Wow. No way.
At Wembley. So cool for the town.
Yeah.
Cool for the club. But fuck you for what you did to Josh. So after that, I went with the 2010 World Cup, USA versus Algeria. Landon Donovan.
Oh Lord.
The extra time.
Go USA!
Come on. I was in, I believe it was 7th grade, and I was in school, and we made one of the teachers put the game on, and that's probably up there, if not the greatest goal in United States soccer history. I think what that did for the nation. I know the women's team kind of, what was it, 94 with the Brandy Chastain.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for men's U.S. soccer history, I think that's got to be kind of looked at as one of the moments. Yeah, Landon Donovan. Next, I went with another international. I went USA Portugal 2014 World Cup. I was in my basement with Tommy Stedman and Joshua Weigel, and Jermaine Jones scored that goal. I don't know if you guys remember the goal.
Yeah. The whip
but
on that.
I remember embarrassing saying out loud, but I stripped down and I ran down my street and I celebrated like a madman. I was wearing my Where's Waldo US kit, and I was running down Duvernay Drive, just throwing that thing around.
All for a draw.
All for a draw. Hey, but I mean,
yeah.
you're an American watching USA perform against a Portugal team where at that time
They had all the heavy hitters still.
Oh, heavy hitter. And I mean, you don't expect
Pepe.
much. You don't expect much. I remember going into that game like just please don't get run out.
Yeah.
And a moment like that, I don't think I'll ever forget. Yeah, and then the last two, I'm surprised, honestly, to not hear either of yours. Either of your lists have these. But Argentina, France, the World Cup final of 2022.
If I was going games, I would have gone
Yeah.
that, because in my opinion, that's the greatest
Yeah.
game I've ever watched in the sport.
I struggled with picking club matches for kind of what we talked about, where I just never really like sat down. Like, I'm not an Arsenal guy. I'm not a Chelsea guy. Like none of that sticks out. Plus, dude, there's just so many games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's so many games. But this one, I was living in LA at the time. It was me, my boys, my brothers, Colvier, Soli, Mike. We're sitting in the parking lot. It just packed. There's like 1,000 people. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's an Argentinian bar. And I remember somebody like had an Argentinian flag in a stand, and it was like in the back of the parking lot. And at the end of the game, when they won it, I remember I took the flag out of the stand, and I was just in the back of the parking lot just waving it. And it was, I'm not Argentinian. I have nothing of it in my blood, but just being there in that moment, watching these people watch Messi do that was so cool.
Oh yeah.
The only way that game could have possibly have been better is if Messi scored the winning PK.
Right.
That's the only way it could have possibly have got better, and I don't even think it needed it, because that game, in my opinion, is still, like I said, I think it's the greatest, like in terms of a single game or match, whatever you want to call it, as the greatest of a sporting event that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people that have their own, but for me, like France did nothing for 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they get the pen. You're like, okay, like the game's on. But like you could just see like the spirit of something like just started flowing through them. And then Mbappe scores like a minute later to tie the game. And all of a sudden, this game that like everybody was calling like, oh, it was just Argentina was controlling the entire game, is now tied 2-2.
Yep.
And it's just like now we're looking at extra time, and like France almost pushed for the winner.
That
before,
save
too.
by Dibu though,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
still
yeah.
it blows my mind because it happened in such a way where it was so out of the blue, where
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you just weren't expecting it at all, and they were that close to
Yeah.
losing it all. They were
Yeah.
that close, and then he just makes the most miraculous save I've ever seen.
And what it was just like the perfect encapsulation of like the sport at that time, where it was Messi trying to claim his throne and
Yeah.
Mbappe trying to hold it and still prove that like he's that guy. And didn't he go to win? Like, he scored a hat trick in that game,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's insane. He
And
scores a hat trick
and he
against
scored his
Argentina.
pen in PKs.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So like it's just
Yeah.
It's a legendary kind of
Oh, yeah.
moment in the history of the sport right there. Can't go wrong with that pick.
Well, and then my number one game as a neutral that you absolutely need to watch, PSG Barcelona 2016 Champions League, the one that came back 6-5.
Remontada.
We're gonna play the clip right now. I was at Fab Academy in England, and it was all of us watching the game. And as you saw in the video, that was just a moment I will never, ever, ever forget. Just pushing each other, screaming, running all over the place. When they scored that winner, how can you not love the game?
Yeah,
How can you
that's
not
what it's
love
all
the
about,
game?
man.
It was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had with the sport.
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from it because obviously it's incredible. But the fifth goal that was the PK, never a penalty. Never a
It's,
penalty.
Can't
But
remember.
I will say, like, the moment what came from it, I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
I don't
It's-
even remember the game in its entirety. I just remember the moment they scored that winner
Yeah.
and the reaction that came from it.
Wasn't that the Neymar reaction when he's standing there stunned? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
one of the most unbelievable like
Crazy.
single game
Crazy.
comebacks. It's like it's not. It doesn't mean as much because it wasn't to win the Champions League. But if
Still.
you're comparing it to
Still.
anything, it's for the Americans out there.
Plus, for
it's-
this segment too,
yeah.
a neutral
It's-
to get involved in the game.
Yeah,
and love
it's the
sport.
closest thing to the 28-3 Patriots comeback in the Super Bowl that
Yeah,
I think
I
we've
would
ever
say.
seen in the sport.
yeah.
I guess
would-
you could argue
incredible.
the France one's more comparable, but in terms of like what the score line was and how much
Incredible.
they had to come back,
Incredible.
I think that's the closest in terms of a score line you'll ever see like compared to that Super Bowl.
That was the most fun I've ever had playing, watching, coaching
Yeah.
in this sport. The
Hell
most
yeah.
fun I've ever
Yeah.
had.
Because the hardest thing when you're trying to talk to neutrals and like introduce the game to people is when they are like, oh, but they don't score goals, they don't do anything in the game. Like, it's so hard to
a
explain
lazy
sometimes when
argument.
it is. It's the
It's
worst
a
because
lazy
they don't
argument.
understand it. But when you got to show them the games, it's like, oh well, yeah, here you want goals, then here, like
Yeah.
that's a great one for
Yeah.
showing something like that. Yeah. That's also comparable. You could do the Ajax versus Tottenham series that they had too. I think Ajax had the lead in that, and then Tottenham came back and scored, I think, 4 goals in that game in Amsterdam. Crazy night for them, and that brought them to the Champions League final. So it was good. Crazy.
I think it was
context in that
3
one.
because Lucas Moura had a hat trick, and I think he had all 3.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. There might be a goal I'm missing, but
Mhm.
I know Lucas Moura had 3 that day.
Right. That could be it. And maybe it was like a goal scored at Tottenham. Who knows? Yeah, those are all some good games. Man. It gets me.
I got a text message during this segment from producer Rich, aka my dad.
Oh, what do we got over there?
Is this your all-time favorite game?
No, but it is a great game if you love the way the Premier League is structured.
Okay.
So
what do we
he
got?
has-
What do you say?
Liverpool, Crystal Palace, 2014, 3-3. Liverpool's up 3-0, and they're trying to push for more goals to shorten the goal differential between them and City. and they blow the 3-0 lead and blow their title chances. And then you have the scenes at the end where Suarez like had his shirt crying.
Oh, shit.
I know he hates Suarez, so like for him that moment was, he loved that moment for forever.
Well, I thought there's a game that none of us mentioned, and I thought one of us would have brought up. I thought you would have brought this one up.
As the same game, the
slip?
Liverpool team. Yep.
Yeah,
I will.
slip.
My favorite moment in Premier League history: the Steven Gerrard slip.
Crazy shit, man.
Steve Gerrard, he slipped on his fucking ass. He gave it to Demba Ba. Steve Gerrard. Every time we play Liverpool, we sing that song.
Oh yeah, legendary moment right there.
Yeah, but yeah, I honestly I did kind of forget about that one, but I don't think the game itself was incredible. Where that game was just that one moment.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's just the funniest part about it is you have the clip from the huddle when he's like, "Don't let this slip," and then he literally slips with the ball, and Demba Ba, who's terrible for Chelsea, goes through and scores. It's just unbelievable.
It's painful.
That's why it's such a lazy argument when they talk about the goals, because it really is moments of magic that make this sport. And I was even thinking about, because I know we wanted to keep it to the Prem, but if you talk about the Barcelonas and the Real Madrids, and I hate myself right now because I can't think of his name, so you guys please back me up here. But who's the commentator? The magisterial.
Ray Hudson.
Yes.
Yeah.
You talking about the one the one where Messi like scored the winner?
Any of them.
Like, well, yeah, really any
of them.
Yeah.
Absolute beauty.
That man.
Little avatar eyes.
I could watch paint dry and him commentate that, and I'll have the time of my life.
He retired this year, actually.
Yes, he
so,
did.
Yeah.
There's a
baby lamb chop.
classic football shirts. They do away days. They do the shirt shopping. Have you guys ever seen that?
Yes.
On
yeah,
YouTube?
Yeah. Classic,
They had one with him on.
Oh no way.
And it was just him talking to, I believe, Ellis Platten is his name, just telling stories.
Oh, that's the Leeds guy, right?
Yes. Yeah. Away days, 71Kicks collab, maybe.
Bring us in.
They just had him, Ray Hudson,
Ray Hudson
telling stories about his career and his life and the sport. And oh my God, I can just listen to the majesty. I can listen.
I mean,
to
the
that all
games
day.
that you've seen in your career at that point, like he was a big La Liga guy for a while too, or I think it was beIN Sports, but yeah, he's had some good calls for Ronaldo games. Awesome stuff, man.